Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Imagine a bubble drifting in the sunlight, its surface shimmering with colours that shift and fade as you gaze at it. The bubble is thin, almost weightless, yet it holds a fragile boundary between air inside and air outside. This simple, delicate sphere is often used as a metaphor for our universe, a cosmic bubble floating in an unseen expanse. Physicists and cosmologists sometimes wonder if our universe itself could be a bubble, one among many, expanding into a space we cannot yet reach, carrying all of time, space, and matter within its transparent walls. To think of the universe as a bubble is not only poetic but also rooted in scientific speculation. The idea arises from theories of cosmic inflation, a rapid expansion thought to have happened in the first tiny fraction of a second after the Big Bang. In those earliest moments, space stretched faster than the speed of light, smoothing the universe and giving rise to the seeds of galaxies. Some physicists believe that inflation may not have ended everywhere at once. Instead, it could have continued in some regions, creating countless bubble-like universes, each with its own laws of physics, its own galaxies, perhaps even its own forms of life. Our bubble is only one among them, separated by vast unreachable stretches of inflating space. This notion can feel dizzying, yet there is a calmness in imagining it. When we look up at the night sky, we see stars scattered across blackness. But beyond that blackness may lie something even grander, an endless sea of bubbles, each containing a different version of reality. In our own bubble, light travels at a particular speed, particles have particular masses, and forces hold matter together in ways that allow chemistry, biology, and thought. In another bubble, these constants may differ slightly or greatly, leading to universes utterly alien to us. Some bubbles may be too unstable to form stars, some may collapse almost as soon as they are born. Yet here, in this one fragile bubble, conditions aligned so precisely that life could arise, and we are here to wonder about it. Consider how fragile bubbles are in everyday life. A soap bubble can be destroyed by the faintest touch, by a whisper of wind, by the drying of its surface, and yet for the brief time it exists, it is beautiful and complete. If our universe is like a bubble, its fragility is of another kind. It is held together by the balance of cosmic forces, the outward push of expansion, the inward pull of gravity, the subtle dance of quantum fields shaping reality at its smallest scales. The walls of this bubble are not glassy or soapy, but the fabric of space-time itself, stretching and curving, keeping everything we know contained within. In cosmology, one of the great mysteries is the shape and fate of this space-time bubble. If the universe is indeed finite like a bubble, will it someday pop? Scientists debate whether expansion will continue forever, thinning galaxies into dust and cooling stars into embers, or whether some distant event could tear space-time apart. Some theories suggest that bubbles can collide, merging or destroying each other. If another universe bubble touched ours, the encounter might leave a scar written across the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang. Astronomers have searched for such signs, scanning maps of this ancient light for patterns that could hint at collisions. So far, nothing has been confirmed, but the search itself reminds us that our universe may not be alone. This image of cosmic bubbles is also linked to quantum physics. The vacuum of space, once thought of as empty, is now understood as a restless ocean of fields and particles flickering in and out of existence. In some models, bubbles form within this ocean as regions where the vacuum takes on a different state, like patches of ice forming in water as it cools. Each bubble then expands, becoming a universe with its own vacuum state, its own physics. Ours is one such bubble born from a quantum fluctuation that blossomed into everything we know. When we whisper that we live in a bubble, we are not simply speaking metaphorically. We are touching the edges of scientific possibility. Drifting deeper into this thought, one can imagine standing at the edge of a meadow in early morning, watching dewdrops gather on blades of grass. Each drop reflects the world in its own tiny sphere, yet each is separate, self-contained, shimmering in the dawn. Our universe might be like one of those drops, a self-contained reflection of reality, hanging briefly in the infinite field of time. From within, we cannot see beyond the walls of our droplet. We only know the reflections it holds, the light that passes through it. Perhaps countless other droplets exist beside us, yet hidden from our sight. The poetry of nature mirrors the possibilities of physics. What makes this idea both comforting and humbling is that our bubble is enough. Even if other universes exist, they are beyond our reach, at least with our current knowledge. We are sealed inside our cosmic soap film, and it is here that galaxies swirl, stars are born, and life breathes. The knowledge that we may be one bubble among many does not diminish our existence. Instead, it adds layers of wonder, reminding us that reality could be far larger than what we can ever touch. And in the gentle vastness of that thought, there is a kind of peace, a soothing reminder of how precious this one fragile bubble is. As we imagine the shimmering surface of this bubble, the scientific details merge with the poetic. The mathematics of inflation, the physics of quantum fields, the observations of distant galaxies, all point to a universe expanding like a bubble inflating. And while we cannot see its boundary directly, we sense it in the way galaxies move apart, in the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background, in the symmetry of physical laws. The bubble holds us, defines us, and quietly expands around us, even as we dream. If section 1 was a gentle beginning, then this deepening invites us further inside the bubble, to feel its breath, its quiet expansion, and its hidden patterns. The universe is not static but alive with motion, with galaxies drifting apart like leaves carried by a slow, endless current. Imagine floating in a river where the banks recede the farther you drift. No matter where you look, the water seems to carry everything outward, never inward. This is how astronomers see the universe when they map the galaxies. Every point appears to recede from every other, as though the bubble itself is stretching all around us. We are not at the centre, but rather every place is the centre, for the expansion happens everywhere at once. This realization is one of the most beautiful truths of cosmology. It means that the bubble grows uniformly, like dough rising in an oven, like a balloon filling with air, like a soap film swelling under a single breath. To measure this expansion, scientists observe the redshift of galaxies, the way their light stretches as it travels through expanding space. It is not that the galaxies rush through space, but that space itself grows between them, carrying the light along, stretching its wavelengths until they drift into the red and beyond, into invisible radio waves. This simple observation, first noticed by Edwin Hubble, became one of the keys to understanding that we live inside a bubble-like universe. Each photon, each particle of light carries the story of expansion, whispering across billions of years that space is not fixed but fluid. The farther a galaxy lies from us, the faster it appears to move away, not because it speeds through the void, but because the void itself stretches, like a fabric slowly unfurling. Now imagine tracing this fabric back in time. If space is stretching now, it must have been smaller in the past. As we rewind the cosmic film, galaxies draw closer, light shortens into bluer hues, matter gathers more tightly. Eventually we reach a point when everything is compressed into an almost unimaginably dense state. This is what scientists call the Big Bang. Not an explosion in space, but the very birth of space itself. In that first instant, inflation bloomed, driving the universe outward with incredible speed, smoothing it into the nearly uniform bubble we see today. But inflation, like a breath that never quite stops, might have kept going in some regions. Those regions could still be inflating now, spawning new bubbles of reality, endlessly multiplying in the silence beyond our own walls. What does it mean if other bubbles exist? The thought drifts somewhere between science and philosophy. If there are countless bubbles, each may carry different physics, different histories. Some may glow with unfamiliar stars. Others may be stillborn, collapsing in darkness before light can even take root. A few may be nearly identical to ours, mirrors of our reality with galaxies that look the same, yet with subtle differences we can never touch. This grand landscape of bubbles is called the multiverse, a concept both inspiring and unsettling. Within it, our bubble is both ordinary and miraculous, one among infinity, yet unique because it holds us. And within it, every human story, every heartbeat, every memory exists, fragile as foam on the surface of an endless sea. To make sense of this, scientists turn again to the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the universe's earliest light. It is like the bubble's skin, glowing faintly with the warmth of its birth. Tiny ripples in this glow reveal the seeds of galaxies, the first fingerprints of inflation. Some even suggest that if our bubble brushed against another in those earliest times, it might have left subtle scars, patterns, cold spots, or unusual alignments that we might detect. The search continues with exquisite telescopes, but the evidence remains elusive. Still, the very act of searching reminds us that we live on the surface of mystery, peering outward through the shimmer of our own bubble wall, wondering what lies beyond. And yet beyond the science there is a deeper reflection. If the universe is a bubble, then we too are bubbles within it. Each cell of our bodies is a membrane, a tiny enclosure of water and molecules floating in the greater sea of life. Each thought is a bubble rising in the mind, fragile and fleeting, yet beautiful as it bursts. The structures of nature repeat themselves, from the smallest scales to the largest. The foams on a beach resemble the clusters of galaxies and cosmic maps. The bubbles of soap reflect the rainbow in the same way that atmospheres scatter the colours of sunsets. To live is to dwell within bubbles, to breathe them, to dream them, to be sustained by their fragile boundaries. The fragility of bubbles often makes us fear their ending, but in the cosmic sense, fragility is not weakness but wonder. Our bubble has lasted for nearly 14 billion years, stretching, cooling, forming stars and planets, nurturing life. In human time, that span is beyond comprehension, a vast ocean compared to our tiny ripples of years. And yet it is finite. Someday our stars will dim, galaxies will drift beyond sight, matter will thin into whispers of particles. If the bubble continues to expand forever, it will become a vast, cold emptiness, where the last embers fade like dying sparks. If it ends abruptly, if a new vacuum bubble forms and expands into ours, it could erase everything in a silent instant. Both fates are possible in the mathematics of physics, and yet both are so far beyond our scales of time that they do not diminish the quiet grace of now. To dwell in this bubble is to have the rare gift of existence, fleeting but meaningful. As we drift further into this meditation, let us imagine again the meadow of dewdrops, each one glowing in morning light. The dew is temporary, soon to vanish under the sun, but while it lasts, it reflects entire worlds in miniature. Our universe, too, reflects something far greater, perhaps an infinite ocean of possibilities. We may never see beyond our bubble's film, but to imagine it is enough. The very act of wondering enlarges us, expands our minds in harmony with the cosmos. To think of ourselves as part of a bubble is not to feel trapped, but to feel held, cradled in the delicate hands of physics and chance, embraced by space-time itself. And so, as the bubble stretches, we stretch with it. Our thoughts expand, our horizons widen, our wonder deepens. The science of cosmology offers equations and models, but behind those numbers lies a gentle poetry. That reality itself may be as fragile and as beautiful as a bubble floating in sunlight, never still, never permanent, yet endlessly captivating. And in this thought, there is comfort, a lullaby sung by the universe itself. As the idea of our universe as a bubble lingers in the mind, we can drift deeper into the question of meaning. What does it mean to live inside such a fragile, expanding sphere, knowing it may be one among countless others? To many scientists, the answer is not discouragement but awe. They see in the bubble's growth a grand story written in the language of physics, a story that connects every star to every grain of dust, every galaxy to every thought. The bubble is not just a shell, it is the stage on which existence unfolds. To be part of it is to belong to a vast, unbroken narrative that stretches across time and space, uniting us with everything that ever was or will be. In daily life, we rarely think of ourselves as beings of the cosmos. We worry about small things, the rhythm of work, the flow of conversations, the warmth of meals. Yet beneath these ordinary moments lies the hum of the universe itself, expanding scantly, carrying us along with galaxies and stars. We are passengers inside the bubble, held gently by space-time, woven into its fabric without effort. Just as a fish does not notice the water that surrounds it, we do not notice the space that holds us. And yet, when we pause to reflect, we sense the bubble's quiet presence. The night sky becomes a reminder, each star a glimmer on the inside of our cosmic sphere, each constellation a whisper of our bubble's vastness. The edges of this bubble are unreachable to us. No matter how far we travel, expansion outruns us, pushing galaxies away faster than light can carry us. The observable universe is only a small patch of the whole, a window into one corner of our bubble. Beyond that horizon, space continues, unseen and unknowable. Some imagine that at those unreachable edges, the bubble may meet others, colliding, merging, or floating apart? If so, we may be part of a foam, countless bubbles pressed together, each glowing with its own reality. The thought is dizzying, but it also brings humility. We are not the centre of all that is, but one small room in a mansion so vast that we can only guess at its size. Even if we never reach those other bubbles, our own is full of mysteries still waiting to be uncovered. Black holes curve space-time into strange shapes. Dark matter threads the universe like an invisible web. Dark energy drives the bubble's expansion faster and faster, its nature still unknown. Each mystery is like a ripple on the bubble's surface, a sign that there is more beneath than we yet understand. To study these mysteries is to press gently against the walls of our bubble, to listen for the echoes of what lies beyond. We may never break through, but we can sense the structure, the beauty, the hidden logic of its design. The poetic truth of bubbles is that they are temporary. In the morning light, a soap bubble rises, dances, and vanishes. In the meadow, dewdrops gather and disappear. In the sea, foam forms and dissolves with the waves. Our universe may be long-lived, but it too carries the seeds of change. Stars will fade, galaxies will thin, energy will cool. The bubble will stretch until it becomes silent and dark, or it may collapse in a moment of catastrophic transformation. To know this is not to despair, but to cherish. Fragility is what gives beauty its intensity. Because the bubble will not last forever, our time within it becomes precious. Each life, each moment, each breath is a shimmer on the bubble's film, fleeting but radiant. There is also a strange kind of comfort in imagining the end. If another bubble one day expands into ours, replacing our reality with another, we would never feel it. It would be instant, silent, and complete. The fragility that frightens us is also gentle. The bubble does not collapse with a roar, but with a whisper, like foam dissolving back into the sea. This perspective softens the fear of endings. It reminds us that we are part of something larger, something continuous, even if our own bubble fades. Life and death, beginnings and endings are woven into the pattern of existence, as natural as the rising and popping of bubbles in the air. And so the story returns to us. To live in this bubble is to live in wonder. The universe does not need our recognition to expand, but we are here to give it meaning, to see it, to marvel at it. Our awareness transforms the bubble from a blind expansion into a place of stories and emotions. We name the stars, chart the galaxies, tell tales about creation. We sing to the bubble, and in doing so we become part of its beauty. Consciousness itself is like a smaller bubble within the larger one, a delicate film stretched between neurons, shimmering with thoughts, fragile yet luminous. The universe has given rise to beings who can reflect upon the universe. The bubble has given birth to mirrors within mirrors. In the end, the metaphor of the bubble is more than science or poetry, it is an invitation. To imagine our universe as a bubble is to feel its delicacy, its impermanence, its shimmering beauty. It is to hold the cosmos in the palm of our hand, as one holds a soap bubble, knowing it could vanish, yet marvelling at its glow. It is to accept both the vastness and the fragility of existence, and to find peace in that acceptance. For as long as the bubble lasts, it holds us. It gives us sky and earth, breath and thought, love and memory. And when it is gone, it will have been enough that it once was, and that we were here within it, gazing outward, dreaming softly of the light on its fragile surface. When you stand at the edge of a quiet lake and toss a stone into the still water, circles of ripples spread outward, gentle and endless until they fade into the distance. The surface never truly returns to what it was, for each ripple leaves a memory, a slight rearrangement of molecules that will drift unseen into the greater body of the lake. Our universe too carries ripples, but on scales so vast and ancient that they shape the very way galaxies gather and stars ignite. These ripples, born from the earliest moments of cosmic history, are faint but persistent, and to trace them is to stand at the cosmic shore, gazing across the waves that drift into forever. In the first heartbeat of time, after the Big Bang and the strange brief inflationary bloom, the universe was a sea of particles and energy, so dense and hot that light itself could not travel freely. It was as though the cosmos was wrapped in a fog, every photon bouncing from particle to particle in a restless dance. But within that fog, quantum fluctuations, the tiniest irregularities, were stretched by inflation into larger ripples, regions of slightly more or slightly less density. These were the first seeds of structure, the earliest marks on the blank canvas of space-time. Without them, everything would have smoothed into featureless emptiness, but because of them, the cosmos became a textured shore, alive with variation. Over time, as the universe cooled and expanded, these ripples grew into the scaffolding of reality. Gravity gathered matter into denser regions, slowly pulling gas into clouds that would collapse into stars and galaxies. Where the ripples were strongest, clusters formed. Where they were weakest, cosmic voids opened, vast expanses nearly empty of galaxies. To map the universe today is to see these patterns stretched across billions of light years, like foam on the surface of a vast ocean. Each ripple is no longer a small fluctuation, but a structure of unimaginable size, a reminder that the entire visible cosmos is the echo of a few tiny whispers at the beginning of time. Astronomers can still detect these ripples in the afterglow of the Big Bang, the cosmic microwave background. When sensitive telescopes capture its faint light, what they see is not uniform but dappled with tiny variations, slight differences in temperature and density. These patterns are the fossilized ripples of creation, like rings in the bark of a tree or waves frozen into stone. To study them is to look backward across nearly 14 billion years, to hear the echoes of an ancient shore where time and space first took form. The ripples are delicate, but they carry profound messages. They tell us about the age of the universe, its composition, and even its ultimate fate. They whisper that we live not in chaos, but in a cosmos shaped by order emerging from randomness. The beauty of ripples is that they are both fleeting and eternal. On the surface of water, they vanish within moments, yet the patterns they create reflect light in ways that live in memory. In the universe, the ripples of the early cosmos will never vanish, for they have become galaxies, stars, and us. Each atom in our bodies was once part of those primordial fluctuations, carried along by expanding space until it found its place in the great design. To breathe, to think, to wonder is to be the living expression of those ripples, to be part of the circles spreading outward from the first stone thrown into the lake of creation. Standing at a real shore, you may notice how ripples overlap, how they interfere, sometimes amplifying, sometimes cancelling, creating a pattern more complex than the simple ring that began. In the universe too, ripples overlapped, waves of density colliding, shaping where galaxies formed in greater numbers, and where voids stretched wider. these interactions made the cosmos richer, more varied, more alive. What began as tiny fluctuations in a uniform sea became the intricate web of galaxies, a pattern scientists call the cosmic web. Its strands are like filaments of foam, threads of matter glowing with stars, stretching across billions of light years, connected by the gravity that grew from those first ripples. To trace it is to trace the geometry of existence itself. And so we return to the image of the cosmic shore. Each night, when you look at the stars, you are not simply seeing points of light, but the crest of ancient ripples, frozen in time, drifting still. The light reaching your eyes is the final echo of movements that began before galaxies had form, before Earth had been born, before even the concept of life existed. And yet here you are, standing at the shore, feeling the soft touch of the waves, listening to the universe hum with its quiet patterns. To imagine ripples beyond the cosmic shore is to imagine that the story is still unfolding, that new waves may arise, perhaps from unknown events, perhaps from collisions with other universes. For if our cosmos is a bubble, as some believe, then its surface may ripple when touched by its unseen neighbours, leaving faint marks across the sky that we may one day recognise. The thought that the universe is full of ripples, both visible and invisible, brings with it a quiet sense of belonging. We are not apart from these patterns, but within them, formed by them, shaped by their rise and fall. To study them is not only to understand physics, but also to remember that we are children of waves, born from the smallest whispers of creation, carried by the currents of time, destined to drift until our own ripples fade into the great ocean of the cosmos. If the first section was a walk along the edge of the cosmic shore, then now we wade deeper into the waters, feeling the rhythm of ripples not only in the sky above, but in the very structure of matter itself. For ripples are not only patterns spread across galaxies, they are the quiet song of particles, the hidden rhythm of atoms, the soft resonance of the universe at every scale. What is vast is mirrored in what is small, and to explore these echoes is to realize that the cosmos hums with ripples in every corner. In the earliest universe, before atoms had formed, there was only a hot plasma of particles, a sea of protons and electrons scattering photons in every direction. Sound itself could travel through this plasma, pressure waves rippling outward like the trembling of a drumhead. These were not sound waves we could hear, for no ears yet existed, but physical oscillations, compressions, and rarefactions in the cosmic fluid. When scientists measure the distribution of galaxies today, they still see traces of those primordial sound waves. They are called baryon acoustic oscillations, vast ripples frozen into the fabric of space, echoing the music of creation. Imagine a universe that once rang like a great instrument, and know that we still hear its faintest notes in the arrangement of stars. These frozen ripples remind us that the cosmos is not silent but resonant. Every system vibrates. Strings on an instrument, membranes of cells, the orbits of planets, even the probability waves of quantum particles, all carry ripples of motion, pulses of energy moving through time. To exist is to ripple, to send waves outward into the surrounding medium, whether it is water, air, space-time, or the field of human memory. The stone tossed into the lake may vanish beneath the surface, but its rings remain long after, reaching distant shores, stirring waters where the stone itself is forgotten. Our actions too create ripples in the lives of others, unseen yet enduring. In this way, the science of ripples becomes inseparable from the poetry of living. Cosmic ripples are also seen in the way galaxies rotate and cluster. Dark matter, unseen but abundant, acts like an invisible web that catches the ripples of early density fluctuations and holds them in place. Where the ripples gathered, dark matter seeded gravitational wells, pulling ordinary matter into their depths. Over billions of years, stars flared to life in these basins, forming spiral galaxies, clusters, and great filaments. The ripples became skeletons of light, scaffolding for the luminous structures we now see. Without them, matter would never have organized itself. Without them, no galaxies, no stars, no planets, and no life would have come to be. To look at the Milky Way stretched across the sky is to see ripples translated into starlight, frozen waves of density turned into the cradle of existence. Yet ripples extend beyond what we can see. Einstein's general theory of relativity predicted that massive events could create ripples in space-time itself, gravitational waves that stretch and squeeze reality as they pass. For a century, this was only theory, but in recent years, detectors have caught these waves directly, listening to the universe's most violent moments. Black holes colliding, neutron stars merging, vast energies released as vibrations in the very fabric of existence. When we listen to these waves, we are listening not with our ears but with exquisitely tuned instruments that measure shifts smaller than the width of an atom. And yet, in those fainter tremors, we hear cosmic ripples crossing billions of light years. Messages sent across time remind us that the universe is alive with motion even in its darkest corners. The poetry of these discoveries is that they reveal a cosmos that remembers. Every ripple is a memory, a trace of something that happened long ago. The cosmic microwave background remembers the first light. Galaxy distributions remember the first sound waves. Gravitational waves remember the embrace of black holes. Even the atoms in our bodies remember the fusion fires of ancient stars, their structure shaped by ripples of energy. To exist is to carry memory, not only in minds but in matter itself. We are made of echoes, written by waves, our lives unfolding in resonance with the oldest songs of creation. Standing again at the shore, imagine the wind brushing the water's surface, creating overlapping patterns of ripples. Some are small, some large, but together they weave a tapestry of motion. The universe is like this too. Quantum ripples underlie the structure of matter. Gravitational ripples sculpt space-time. Thermal ripples define the glow of stars. Emotional ripples pass between people, binding us in invisible patterns of influence and connection. Everywhere we look, ripples connect the parts to the whole, weaving complexity out of simplicity. They remind us that nothing exists alone, that every action spreads outward, joining the greater fabric. And perhaps, beyond our own cosmic bubble, there are still larger ripples. If other universes exist, their motions may stir against ours, faint tremors that one day reveal themselves in subtle scars across the sky. If space-time is a sea, then our bubble is a wave rising upon it, and other bubbles may ripple beside us, invisible but real. To imagine them is to expand our sense of belonging beyond the known horizon, to see ourselves as part of an even greater ocean, endless and unbroken, where ripples spread forever beyond the cosmic shore. As the thought of ripples carries us forward, we begin to feel how deeply they are woven into the essence of reality. To imagine the universe as ripples on a cosmic shore is to recognize that nothing is ever fully still. Motion, vibration, and gentle oscillation define existence at every scale. Even in silence, even in darkness, ripples remain. They pass through atoms, through galaxies, through the fabric of space-time itself. The universe, in its quiet vastness, is never empty. It is always trembling with waves, carrying the memory of what has been and the promise of what may come. The human heart itself beats with a ripple, sending waves of pressure through the blood, pulsing life into every cell. The brain, too, ripples with patterns of electricity, waves of thought and dream, memory and feeling. Our voices ripple the air, carrying words across space to be caught by another ear. In this way, our own lives are mirrors of the cosmos. Just as the universe began with ripples that spread outward into galaxies, our days begin with ripples of breath and heartbeat that spread outward into the world through our actions and choices. Each of us is a stone cast into the lake of existence, and the circles we make drift far beyond what we can see. To think of ourselves as ripples is also to remember our connection to time. No ripple exists without beginning and end. Each wave rises, spreads and fades, replaced by others. The stars, too, live and die in waves, burning brightly before collapsing into silence. Civilizations rise like waves of culture and knowledge, leaving traces before they dissolve. Even the Earth's oceans, tides pulled by the moon, show us the eternal dance of ripples on another scale. In this sense, ripples are not only scientific patterns but also metaphors for impermanence, for the delicate truth that nothing remains fixed. And yet impermanence is not loss. It is movement, transformation, the flow that carries life forward. Without it, there would be no change, no growth, no song of existence at all. Cosmologists who study the universe often describe the cosmic web as a frozen ripple, a structure that has not yet finished settling, a vibration still resonating across billions of years. It is as though the stone of the Big Bang continues to disturb the waters of time, its circles spreading farther still. When we gaze into deep space with our telescopes, we are seeing not only light, but also the frozen shapes of these ancient ripples. Galaxies aligned along filaments, clusters bound together, voids stretching between them. These are the fossil waves of creation, preserved across time like patterns on sand left by receding tides. And just as no two patterns on a beach are identical, no two regions of the universe are quite the same, though all are connected by the same rippling sea. What lies beyond the shore is a question that remains. If our bubble of universe touches others, the ripples may pass between them, subtle tremors that leave traces in the cosmic background or in the shapes of galaxies. Perhaps we will one day find evidence of such encounters, proof that we are not alone in the ocean of bubbles. Or perhaps the ripples of our universe will remain confined within its fragile skin, destined to fade unseen. In either case, the poetry is the same. We are part of a ripple larger than ourselves, a wave that began long before we were born and will continue long after we are gone. To accept this is to find serenity, to rest in the knowledge that we are carried by the same currents that shape stars and galaxies. At the shore of a lake, ripples often end by folding back into the whole, their energy dissipating into the water until the surface is smooth once more. Our universe too may one day return to silence. The stars will burn out, galaxies will drift away, black holes will evaporate. The ripples will stretch thinner and thinner until they are imperceptible. This is one possible future, a universe of stillness, vast and cold, its ripples faded into the infinite. Yet even this fate carries beauty, for it is the natural conclusion of motion, the quiet rest after an eternal song. To imagine it is not to despair, but to appreciate the brief shimmer of waves we inhabit now, their gentle rise and fall, their luminous glow in the night sky. And so as we close this reflection on ripples beyond the cosmic shore, let us return to the simple image that began it, a stone tossed into still water, circles spreading outward into the quiet. That image, humble and familiar, is the mirror of the universe itself. It shows us how everything begins, how everything expands, how everything connects. It shows us that nothing is isolated, that every ripple joins the greater pattern, whether in water, in light, in sound, or in space-time. To see this is to rest in wonder, to accept our place not as rulers of the cosmos, but as participants in its great unfolding. We are ripples among ripples, waves within waves, part of a vast and gentle sea that carries us beyond the horizon. Glass is solid, yet it flows in a way we cannot see, a material caught between liquid and crystal, a silent substance that seems to breathe with time. Space too is like this, transparent, invisible, yet alive with motion and change. To imagine space as glass is to picture a vast window stretching endlessly in all directions, delicate yet unbreakable, holding within it the stars, the galaxies and the rivers of light that cross the sky. It may appear empty, but space is never still. It breathes like glass under pressure, flexing, bending, and shimmering with energies that pass unnoticed by our eyes. In the vacuum of space, we often imagine nothingness, yet physics tells us that even the void is alive. Quantum fields ripple there, particles emerge and vanish in instants too brief to measure, and energy flickers as though space itself were restless. Like glass, which seems solid yet is full of hidden motion at the atomic scale, space is transparent but vibrant with unseen currents. The silence of the night sky hides a deep hum, a background of quantum fluctuations that whisper through every corner of existence. To drift within space is not to float in emptiness, but to rest within an ocean of invisible breath. When light passes through glass, it bends, refracts, and scatters into colours. When light passes through space, it too is bent, drawn by gravity, stretched by expansion, curved around massive objects. Einstein showed us that space-time itself can warp, and in doing so he gave us a new vision of the cosmos. The stars we see are not fixed jewels, but images refracted by the breathing glass of space, their light curved and delayed on its journey to us. Sometimes galaxies themselves act like lenses, bending the light of objects behind them into arcs and rings, cosmic rainbows etched across billions of light years. This lensing is the fingerprint of space's flexibility, the proof that it does not merely exist, but participates in the play of the universe. The breathing of space is also its expansion. Just as glass may swell with heat or contract with cold, space itself expands as time unfolds. Galaxies drift apart not because they are moving through space, but because a space itself stretches between them, like molten glass being drawn thinner and wider. This expansion is not something we can see in an instant, but across billions of years it changes the shape of the universe, carrying galaxies away like dust motes suspended in a bright room. To say space breathes is to imagine this vast rhythm, a slow inhale and exhale across eternity, a motion so gentle yet so absolute that it defines the story of everything within. Even time itself is shaped by this breathing. In strong gravitational fields, clocks tick differently, slowed by the curvature of space-time. Like flaws or bubbles in a piece of glass, massive objects distort the fabric of space, altering the flow of time for anything that passes nearby. To approach a black hole is to see this effect magnified until time nearly stops at its horizon. To stand on Earth is to experience it subtly, your seconds passing differently than those of a satellite in orbit. We rarely notice these shifts, but they remind us that space is not rigid but pliable, alive to the presence of mass and energy, responding as though with breath to every weight placed upon it. To compare space to glass is also to reflect on fragility. Glass can shatter, though the universe's space-time may never do so in the way we know. And yet, some theories suggest that our bubble of vacuum is not the most stable state possible, that somewhere out beyond our horizon, another form of space might exist waiting to expand into ours. If so, our universe is like a delicate glass vessel, strong for now but fragile in the face of deeper forces. Should that transition occur, it would be like a fracture spreading through the cosmic window, rewriting everything we know in an instant. But even this thought, unsettling as it may sound, becomes gentle when framed as part of nature's flow. Glass shatters, bubbles burst, waves collapse, and yet the universe carries on in forms beyond what we can imagine. And so we look through this cosmic glass, not only outward but inward. We are made of the same space, our atoms woven from the quantum fields that breathe in the void. Each thought, each heartbeat, each dream exists within this transparent medium, carried by its subtle hum. The stars we see are not distant decorations but part of the same glass that holds us, joined through invisible connections that remind us of unity. To breathe is to share in the breathing of space, to feel, even unknowingly, the rhythm of the cosmos that cradles us. Space is glass, space is breath, and we live within its shimmering transparency. If the first glimpse of space as glass reveals its transparency and breath, the deeper view uncovers its subtler textures, the ways it bends, trembles, and carries the echoes of hidden forces. To imagine drifting through space is not to pass through a silent void, but to move within a medium alive with vibrations. Every photon of starlight, every particle of dust, every ripple of gravity travels through this glassy ocean, its path bent and shaped by what it encounters. The light from galaxies billions of years away is a message written in the language of glass, a record of how space has stretched, curved, and breathed along the way. When astronomers look across the cosmos, they see distortions in light that reveal the invisible structures hidden within. A distant quasar may appear multiplied, its light bent into arcs by a galaxy cluster in between. This effect, called gravitational lensing, is one of the clearest demonstrations that space itself is flexible. Just as a lens of glass bends light, so too does space-time, its curvature shaped by mass and energy. The universe is filled with such natural lenses, great arcs of distorted starlight that tell us where unseen matter lies. In this way, space reveals itself not as empty, but as an active participant in the story of light, a breathing glass that sculpts the images we see. And space breathes not only through gravity, but through expansion. The galaxies we observe are carried apart by the stretching of the cosmic fabric, their light reddened as space itself elongates its wavelengths. This redshift is not a trick of velocity, but the signature of breathing, the proof that space is swelling like glass under heat. The more distant a galaxy, the more its light is stretched, until it drifts into the faint whispers of infrared and radio waves. To trace this stretching is to measure the breadth of the cosmos itself, to hear its long inhale as the bubble of space-time expands. The universe is not static glass, but molten, shaping and reshaping itself across eons. This breath of expansion is accelerated by a force still not fully understood. Dark energy. It is as though the cosmic glass is not only stretching, but being urged outward by an invisible pressure, a hand that pushes from within. The discovery of this acceleration shocked astronomers, for they had expected the pull of gravity to slow the expansion over time. Instead, the opposite was true. The breath was quickening, the glass expanding faster as it aged. The nature of this dark energy remains one of the greatest mysteries of physics. Is it a property of space itself, woven into the glass of reality? Or is it the effect of something deeper, an unseen layer beneath our universe? Whatever its origin, it makes space alive, restless, expanding more each day, carrying galaxies beyond sight. To feel this expansion is to feel our own smallness. The stars we see tonight are part of our local region of the universe, still bound to us by gravity, but farther out, galaxies drift away at speeds greater than light, not by moving through space, but by being carried with its breath. These galaxies are lost to us forever, their light unable to reach across the widening gulf. The cosmic glass is stretching so quickly that entire regions vanish beyond our horizon, as though curtains were being drawn across the theatre of the sky. This horizon is not an edge, but a limit, a boundary set by the breath of space. To look outward is to see only a portion of the glass, never its whole, for its expansion always outruns our vision. Yet space also breathes inwardly, curving around massive objects, drawing time itself into new shapes. Near black holes, the glass of space-time bends so steeply that light itself cannot escape, and time slows to a near halt. These regions are like fractures in the cosmic glass, invisible yet profound. We cannot see what lies within, but we know their presence by their pull, by the way they warp the motion of stars and the path of light. The breath of space is not uniform. It is shaped by mass, by gravity, by the invisible scaffolding of dark matter that threads through the cosmos. Everywhere, the glass is alive with curves and tensions, its breath varied by the structures it contains. Even on Earth, we live within this breathing glass. Our clocks tick differently at sea level than at mountaintops, altered by the curve of space-time around our planet. Satellites must account for this difference to guide us accurately with their signals. The breath of space is not remote but intimate, touching every moment of our lives, shaping the rhythm of time itself. We are creatures suspended within this glass, dependent upon its invisible breath, living out our days unaware of how deeply it carries us. To see space as breathing glass is also to sense its fragility. Glass can shiver when struck, and though space-time may not break in the way of fragile matter, theories suggest it can transition, shift into new states. Some physicists wonder if our universe is a metastable bubble, a glassy structure that could, in some unimaginable future, tunnel into a lower state of energy. If so, a new breath would begin, one that overwrites the old, a ripple spreading at nearly the speed of light. This thought, though unsettling, is softened by its remoteness. It is a reminder that the glass of space is alive, not only now, but also in ways we cannot yet imagine, holding possibilities beyond our comprehension. In the quiet of night, when you gaze at the stars, you are peering through this glass, feeling its breath without knowing. The starlight is bent, stretched, delayed, but still it reaches you, carrying messages from billions of years ago. To see it is to connect with the breath of the universe itself, to realize that you too are part of this glassy medium, woven from the same fabric, breathing in harmony with space-time. It is not empty. It is not still. It is alive, and it carries you gently within its endless, transparent embrace. To imagine space as breathing glass is to let go of the idea that it is rigid, unchanging, and eternal. Instead, we see it as delicate, transparent, and alive with hidden movement. As we follow this vision to its quiet conclusion, the picture becomes not one of mechanics alone, but of poetry. Space shimmering with breath, carrying all of existence like a vessel of light. It is a reminder that even the vastest things can be fragile, and even the most fragile can endure for eons. The breath of space is written into the lives of stars. When stars are born, they ignite in clouds of gas that have been sculpted by the curvature of space-time, gathering where invisible filaments guide them. As they shine, their light travels outward, bent by the breathing glass, refracted into our eyes after journeys lasting billions of years. When stars die, they collapse into dense remnants, pressing against the fabric of space until it yields into black holes or neutron stars, breathing differently, curving more steeply. Each stellar story is a dialogue with the glass of space-time, each flare and collapse a mark left upon its transparency. The life cycle of stars is therefore not only an astronomical process, but part of the rhythm of space itself. Galaxies too are etched into this breathing glass. Their spirals are frozen, waves of motion. Their clusters arranged along invisible threads, their shapes distorted by gravitational lenses that act like flaws in crystal. The great web of the cosmos is as intricate as frost upon a window, delicate and vast, each filament a record of how space has curved and stretched. To map it is to trace the breath of the universe, to follow its subtle expansions and contractions across unimaginable scales. Just as a craftsman learns the nature of glass by examining its fractures and imperfections, so scientists learn the breadth of space by studying the distortions of light, the patterns of galaxies, the ripples of the cosmic microwave background. Each detail is a signature, a hint at the living glass that holds us. Yet for all its grandeur, this breathing glass touches us most profoundly in its intimacy with time. A second is not the same everywhere. Each moment is shaped by the curve of space and the energy it carries. For travellers orbiting Earth, time flows differently than for those on its surface. For objects near massive stars, the breath of time is drawn more slowly. To live is to experience only one thread of this tapestry, but to reflect is to realize that time itself is part of the breathing, not absolute, not separate, but entwined with the glass of space-time. The tick of each clock, the rhythm of each life, is a quiet echo of the larger breath of the cosmos. The fragility of this glass raises a final question. Can it break? The universe may seem indestructible to us, but theories suggest otherwise. Perhaps the fabric of space will continue to stretch until galaxies drift into silence, their light fading into a cold darkness. Perhaps new regions of space with different rules will expand into ours, replacing our breath with another. Perhaps space-time itself will ripple and tear, its glass shattering into pieces that begin again elsewhere. Each of these endings is a possibility drawn from physics, but none are certain. And even if they come, they exist on timescales beyond imagination, distant horizons that lie far beyond the span of human life. For now, the glass holds, and its breath continues, carrying us gently onward. To dwell in this thought is not to fear, but to find stillness. We are suspended within a vessel so vast and transparent that we can never see its walls, and yet we are sustained by it completely. Like fish in water, we move within this glass without effort, rarely sensing its breath, but utterly dependent on it. The stars are our windows, their light refracted across time, their beauty magnified by the curves of space. The silence of the night sky is not emptiness, but fullness, a chorus of unseen motion, a reminder that we are inside a living medium, fragile yet enduring. And so the story closes, with space itself as a kind of cosmic glass, clear, breathing, alive. Through it, light travels, galaxies form, time flows, and life unfolds. Through it, we are held gently and invisibly within a structure that feels both infinite and delicate. To imagine this is to rest in wonder, to see the universe not as a cold machine, but as a shimmering vessel, a crystal sea that breathes in silence. It is to accept fragility not as weakness, but as beauty, not as an end, but as a reminder that even the vastest things are precious. The glass of space breathes still, and within its breath we live, we dream, and we drift among the stars. When you look at the night sky, you see thousands of stars, each one shining across unimaginable distances. But the truth is that what you see is only a fraction of what is there. For every bright star, there are countless others hidden in dust, too faint for our eyes, or too far for our telescopes. And beyond those, there may be entire forms of matter and energy that do not shine at all. Silent neighbours drifting alongside us in the cosmic dark. They shape the universe as surely as the visible stars, yet they remain unseen. These invisible presences are among the deepest mysteries of science, and to think of them is to imagine ourselves surrounded by companions we cannot hear, cannot touch, but whose influence we feel in every breath of existence. One of these silent neighbours is called dark matter. It does not glow or radiate. It does not emit light that telescopes can catch, yet it outweighs all the shining matter we can see. Galaxies spin faster than visible mass allows, and stars at their edges move too quickly to be held by the gravity of luminous matter alone. Something unseen must be binding them, an invisible halo that holds galaxies together. Dark matter is that unseen hand, silent and steady, cradling galaxies in its grasp. We cannot see it directly, but we trace its presence through its gravity, through the way it bends light and sculpts the structure of the universe. It is like the quiet presence of air, unseen, intangible, yet absolutely essential. Another silent neighbour is dark energy, even stranger and more elusive. Where dark matter pulls things together, dark energy pushes them apart, driving the acceleration of the universe's expansion. It is as though the cosmos is not only breathing, but doing so with increasing urgency, stretching faster as time goes on. We cannot detect dark energy with instruments in the way we measure light or matter. We only see its fingerprints in the motion of galaxies, in the way the cosmic fabric swells around us. It is a pressure without sound, a presence without form, silent yet overwhelming. Together with dark matter, it composes most of the universe, and yet both remain mysteries. We are surrounded by silent neighbours that shape our destiny, their voices hidden from our ears. But silent neighbours are not only cosmic forces, they exist in other forms as well. Planets around distant stars, countless in number, drift unseen in the dark, their presence guessed by the tug they exert on their suns, or by the dimming of starlight when they pass in front. We have confirmed thousands, but there are billions more, perhaps trillions, worlds waiting in silence. Some may be barren, some may be lush, some may carry life that wonders in its own way. If so, then across the gulf of space we may have neighbours who are not only silent but unaware of us, living their lives in parallel within their own fragile bubbles. The silence between us is not emptiness but distance, a gulf too wide for light to bridge within the span of our lives. Closer still, our own solar system hides silent neighbours. Vast belts of icy bodies circle beyond Neptune, and clouds of comets drift far beyond Pluto, silent in their cold orbits, unseen until they fall inward toward the sun. Even within our neighbourhood, asteroids tumble unseen until they briefly reflect sunlight or pass close enough for our telescopes to catch. These silent companions remind us that we are never alone, that space is not empty but full of presence, much of it unseen. To live on Earth is to exist within a web of neighbours, visible and invisible, some near, some unimaginably far. The poetry of silent neighbours lies in their paradox. They are everywhere, yet they are hidden. They shape our lives, yet we cannot sense them directly. We are surrounded by mysteries, and this surrounding is not frightening, but beautiful. It tells us that the cosmos is deeper than our sight, richer than our grasp, alive with presences that hum in silence. To wonder about them is to lean into mystery, to accept that we are not at the centre of all things, but part of a larger community of existence, much of it invisible to us. Just as in life we are influenced by people we may never meet, so too in the cosmos we are shaped by neighbours we cannot see. Imagine then standing again under the stars. The visible sky glows with familiar constellations, but behind that glow lie halos of dark matter, threads of invisible scaffolding, waves of dark energy swelling outward, unseen planets circling distant suns, clouds of ice and dust drifting in silence. The night sky is not only what you see, it is what you cannot see, the chorus of silent neighbours that surround us, guiding the story of the universe with hands made not of light but of mystery. To dwell in this thought is to feel both humility and peace, knowing that the silence is full, that the darkness is alive, that we are never truly alone. If the first glimpse of our silent neighbours showed us their hidden presence, then the deeper journey invites us to feel how they weave through every layer of the universe, unseen but essential. Darkness is not emptiness. It is full of threads, currents, and companions that surround us, guiding the shape of existence while keeping their forms veiled. To think of them is to walk through a vast forest at night, where you hear the whispers of unseen branches, the rustle of creatures you cannot name, the sense that you are not alone. The universe is such a forest, alive with neighbours whose silence speaks louder than sound. Dark matter is the most constant of these presences. Though invisible, it outweighs the stars and gas we see, sculpting the very structure of the cosmos. Astronomers map it not by sight but by its pull, by the way galaxies gather along filaments and clusters that form a great invisible web. This cosmic web is the skeleton of the universe, and without it, light itself would have scattered into emptiness. Every galaxy you see at night, every star that shines, rests within the invisible hand of dark matter. It is like the framework of a building hidden behind the walls, unseen yet holding everything in place. The silence of dark matter is not absence, but strength, a quiet embrace that allows beauty to take form. Then there is dark energy, more elusive still. Where dark matter gathers, dark energy disperses, pressing outward, driving expansion faster and faster. Imagine a breath that never ends, a glass that swells endlessly, carrying galaxies apart. Dark energy is not heard, not seen, not touched, and yet it fills most of the universe. It is the dominant neighbour, the quiet ruler of cosmic destiny, shaping the future by accelerating time's expansion. We live in an era where its effects are only beginning to be felt, but in the far future, its silence will dominate, pushing galaxies so far away that even their light cannot reach us. The night sky will fade, and the visible universe will grow emptier, yet the silence of dark energy will remain, a presence without sound, guiding the final chapters of our cosmic story. Silent neighbours are not limited to forces, they are also worlds. Beyond our solar system, planets orbit stars in silence, hidden from direct sight. We discover them only through tiny dips in starlight or the subtle wobble of their suns. And yet, there are billions of them in our galaxy alone. Each one is a silent companion to its star, circling endlessly, waiting in the dark. Some may be barren rocks, some gas giants cloaked in storms, and some may be fertile with oceans, mountains, and perhaps even life. If life exists there, it too would be silent to us, separated by distances too vast for messages to cross. They would live and dream without knowledge of us, neighbours in the truest sense, close in being yet forever beyond touch. Even closer within our own system, silent neighbours drift. The Kuiper Belt, a ring of icy bodies beyond Neptune, is home to countless frozen worlds, most too small and faint to be seen. Beyond that lies the Oort cloud, a vast sphere of icy fragments surrounding the Sun at a distance so great that not even our fastest probes will reach it for thousands of years. These silent companions wait in the dark, stirred only occasionally when gravity nudges them inward, sending comets blazing into the inner solar system. When we see a comet bright with tails of gas and dust, it is a fleeting reminder of these neighbours, silent for billions of years, until their paths briefly cross ours. Even within the galaxy, silence is filled with presence. Pulsars spin in the dark, sending beams of radio waves across the void, detectable only when they sweep past Earth. Black holes drift invisibly, revealed only when their gravity bends light or pulls matter into their depths. Rogue planets, ejected from their systems, wander without suns, cold and silent, hidden except for the faint warmth of their cores. These are our neighbours too, companions in the galactic sea, unseen except by the most sensitive instruments, their silence deeper than night. The beauty of these silent neighbours is that they remind us of humility. We live surrounded by what we cannot see, sustained by what we cannot measure directly. Our lives unfold within mysteries, our existence dependent upon invisible companions that ask for nothing, that reveal themselves only in hints. This silence is not emptiness but fullness, a richness of presence that humbles and inspires. It teaches us that to see is not always to know, that as the greatest truths may dwell beyond our senses, guiding us nonetheless. And so, when we look at the night sky, we must learn to listen with more than eyes. The stars we see are but the surface, the faint lights upon a sea of darkness. Beneath them lie halos of dark matter, currents of dark energy, worlds without number, icy bodies, drifting fragments, silent suns and planets lost to distance. To feel their presence is to feel that the universe is alive with neighbours, even if they never speak. Their sense does not separate us but connects us, reminding us that we are part of something greater, a chorus of existence where not every voice must be heard to be real. The sense of our cosmic neighbours is not a void but a presence, a quiet chorus that surrounds us even if we cannot hear its song. As we draw this reflection to its close, we can linger on what their silence means, not only for science but for the human spirit. To live in a universe filled with unseen companions is to live with humility, wonder, and acceptance. It is to acknowledge that the boundaries of our knowledge are small compared to the vastness that holds us, and that mystery itself is part of the beauty of existence. Dark matter continues to hold galaxies in its silent embrace. Without it, the Milky Way could not have formed as it did, and the sun might never have been born. We owe our very existence to this invisible neighbour, yet it has no voice, no glow, no surface to touch. It is a reminder that life depends not only on what can be seen, but also on what remains hidden. Dark energy, too, whispers without sound, expanding the universe faster each day. Its sense is not indifference, but power, guiding the destiny of galaxies, determining how far light can travel, deciding whether the cosmos ends in fire, collapse, or endless cold. Together, these silent forces shape the architecture of time itself, neighbours beyond reach yet closer to us than we can imagine. And what of the worlds we cannot see, the planets circling other suns? Their silence is a different kind, the quiet of distance. They may be vibrant with weather, with oceans, with winds across mountains, yet all of it is hidden from us, their voices drowned in the vastness between. If life exists there, it too is part of this silence, perhaps gazing at its own night sky, wondering if neighbours exist beyond its horizon. If so, then sense is not emptiness but mutual unawareness, two shores separated by an ocean too wide to cross. This thought does not diminish our significance but enriches it, reminding us that life may not be unique but part of a greater tapestry woven from threads scattered across countless stars. Even within our solar system, the silence speaks. The icy bodies of the Kuiper Belt and the distant Oort cloud drift in near-eternal stillness, circling the sun with orbits longer than all of the human history. They do not announce themselves except in rare moments when one falls inward, igniting as a comet and briefly revealing its presence. Black holes too are silent neighbours, devouring light itself, revealed only by their effect on what surrounds them. Pulsars tick like hidden clocks in the night, their beams sweeping the cosmos without pause, a rhythm we can detect only with patient instruments. Rogue planets wander alone, separated from their suns, their silence the silence of exile, yet still they move, part of the galaxy's great migration. These presences remind us that silence is not lifelessness, but another form of being, as true and as enduring as sound. There is also a deeper silence, one that dwells in the very fabric of reality. Quantum fields fluctuate invisibly, shaping particles, forces, and the balance of matter. Space itself expands without a sound, its growth faster than the voice of light. The silence of the universe is not empty but foundational, the ground upon which everything else unfolds. It is a silence we cannot escape, for we are made of it. Our atoms hum with invisible fields. Our bodies are bound by forces we cannot see. Our lives unfold within currents of dark matter and energy that will never speak. And yet, we are here, able to wonder, to sense, to imagine. The silence becomes not a barrier but a canvas for thought. What does it mean to live surrounded by silent neighbours? Perhaps it means learning to listen differently. We listen not with ears but with instruments, with mathematics, with imagination. We learn to hear gravity's pull, to see the faint dimming of starlight, to trace the arcs of lensed galaxies, to measure the acceleration of cosmic breath. Each discovery is a new way of hearing silence, of translating its language into something we can know. And yet, even with all our tools, much remains hidden, reminding us that silence is not something to conquer, but to accept. It teaches patience, humility, and awe. In the end, the silence of our neighbours is not lonely but comforting. It means that the universe is full, that we are surrounded by presences even if we cannot see them. It means that mystery is not a flaw, but a gift, inviting us to keep seeking, to keep wondering, to keep listening. And it means that in our smallness, we are part of something immeasurably larger, a cosmic community where not every voice must be heard to be real. To stand under the stars is to stand among neighbours, their silence a reminder that we are never alone, not in the night sky, not in the depths of space, not in the vast expanse of time. The universe hums with companions unseen, and in their quiet company, we find peace. Time is the most familiar and the most mysterious of all things. We live within it as surely as we live within space, carried forward from one moment to the next without pause. Yet when we try to grasp it, it slips away, fragile as a bubble that bursts the instant we touch it. To think of time as a bubble is to imagine it enclosing us, holding every heartbeat, every memory, every dream, a transparent vessel that expands even as we drift within it. The bubble of time feels strong because it surrounds everything we know, but like all bubbles, it is delicate, and its fragility is what makes life precious. From the moment the universe began, time has been expanding with space. The two are inseparable, woven together as space-time, a fabric that stretches and curves with the weight of matter and energy. Just as galaxies are carried outward by the swelling of space, so our lives are carried forward by the current of time. We cannot step outside of it. We cannot stop it. Time is the medium in which everything unfolds, invisible yet absolute. And yet physics tells us that time is not uniform, not a rigid march but a flexible flow. It bends with gravity. It slows near massive objects. It speeds for those who move swiftly. It is not the steady tick of a universal clock, but the breathing of a fragile bubble, different in different places, yet whole in itself. To live in time is to dwell in impermanence. Every moment rises, shines and fades, never to return. The past is sealed, the future unknown, and only the present hovers within our grasp. vanishing even as we notice it. Like a soap bubble glistening in the air, each moment is iridescent with colour and possibility, and then it is gone. This fragility can feel like loss, but it is also beauty, for without it nothing would matter. A world where time did not move would be still, lifeless, without story or change. It is because the bubble of time is fragile that love has meaning, that memory has weight, that choices matter. We live knowing that moments cannot last, and in that knowledge we find reason to cherish them. Science deepens this sense of fragility. Einstein's relativity shows us that time is not absolute but relative, stretched and compressed by motion and gravity. For astronauts moving swiftly in orbit, time flows differently than for those on Earth. For particles near the speed of light, lifetimes are extended, seconds become stretched. For those near black holes, time slows to a crawl, nearly halting at the event horizon. The bubble of time is not a uniform sphere but a delicate shape, warped and curved by the structures within it. Each of us inhabits our own slice of this bubble, our own path through its shimmering surface, no two exactly alike. The fragility lies in this flexibility, in the realization that time is not fixed but responsive, a vessel that shifts with every mass and motion. Cosmology carries the thought further. If the universe is a bubble, then time is part of its walls, expanding as the bubble grows. The beginning of the bubble was also the beginning of time. To ask what came before is to ask what lies outside the bubble's skin, a question that may have no answer within the language of physics. Time itself may have begun with the Big Bang, a fragile spark that has stretched into the vast river we now inhabit. And if the bubble of the universe someday bursts or transforms, time as we know it may vanish with it, replaced by something new, or perhaps by nothing at all. The fragility of time is thus not only personal but cosmic. It is not guaranteed, it is contingent, temporary, as delicate as glass and as fleeting as breath. And yet within this fragility lies comfort. Time carries us forward, but it also allows memory, growth, and renewal. It grants us seasons, cycles, and rhythms, a pattern that gives meaning to our lives. The bubble may be fragile, but while it lasts, it is luminous, filled with colour and sound and feeling. To live is to drift within this bubble, to see its surface shimmer with possibility, to accept that it will not last forever, and to love it all the more for that. We cannot hold time still, but we can inhabit it fully, noticing its light, breathing its rhythm, listening to its silence. The bubble of time surrounds us, fragile yet complete, and within it every story unfolds. To think of the fragility of time is to lean into both science and poetry, for time is not only measured by clocks but also felt in memory, in the rhythm of the body, in the seasons of the earth. Physics tells us that time is woven into space, bent by gravity, stretched by motion, yet our hearts tell us that time is also woven into experience, bent by love, stretched by longing, compressed by fear, softened by peace. The bubble of time is fragile, not just because it may one day end, but because it is so deeply personal, so easily altered by perception, so fleeting when we try to hold it. We live inside two kinds of time at once, the cosmic measured by stars and galaxies, and the human measured by moments and feelings. Both are bubbles, transparent and delicate, drifting within one another. The cosmic time bubble expands as the universe expands, carrying galaxies farther apart with every breath. We measure this in billions of years, in the faint glow of the cosmic microwave background, in the red shift of light stretched across space-time. But personal time moves differently. A year may feel long or short depending on how it is lived. A single day may feel endless or vanish in a blur. This fragility is not a flaw but a gift, a reminder that time is not uniform but experienced, that each of us carries our own shimmering film of moments. Just as no two bubbles are identical in shape or colour, no two lives are identical in their time, each one reflecting the light of the universe in its own way. Science reminds us that memory itself is fragile, a bubble within the bubble. Our brains store moments not as exact recordings, but as patterns, fragile and mutable, reshaped each time we recall them. In this sense, memory is like glass, transparent yet easily cracked, luminous yet imperfect. Time passes through us not only in the ticking of clocks, but in the shaping of memory, in the way we hold fragments of what has been and let the rest dissolve. To live is to dwell in this fragility, to know that moments cannot be repeated, that memories fade, that the bubble of experience is as delicate as the bubble of the cosmos itself. The fragility of time also reveals itself in the way it bends near extremes. For particles racing close to the speed of light, time slows. For matter pressed against the pull of black holes, time nearly halts. For photons, time does not pass at all, their journey across billions of years to our eyes taking no time from their own perspective. These truths remind us that our sense of steady seconds is local, a small slice of something much stranger. The bubble of time is not uniform but warped, curved into shapes beyond intuition, fragile not because it may break but because it is so unlike the rigid structure we once imagined. To grasp it is to hold water in the hand, never firm, always flowing, and yet this flowing fragility is the source of life's beauty. If time were rigid, if moments could be replayed exactly, life would lose its shimmer. It is the fleeting nature of moments that makes them meaningful. The laughter of a child, the glow of a sunset, the stillness of night. These are precious because they cannot last. They rise like bubbles, glimmer briefly, and then are gone, leaving only memory, fragile as glass. To live is to embrace this, to cherish the temporary, to find wonder in the fragility itself. Just as the universe arose from fluctuations, from fragile ripples of density, so too do our lives arise from fragile ripples of experience. Time's bubble is delicate, but within it we find everything we love. On cosmic scales, the fragility of time raises deeper questions. Will the bubble of time last forever, or will it burst? Some theories suggest that time may be finite, that the expansion of the universe may one day slow, stop, and reverse, collapsing space and time back into a single point. Others suggest that expansion will continue forever, stretching time into endless thinness until nothing happens at all. Still others imagine a sudden transition, a quantum event that replaces our bubble of time with another, rewriting everything in an instant. Each of these possibilities reveals how delicate time truly is, how contingent its existence may be. We live inside a bubble whose durability we cannot know, a vessel that may one day vanish. And yet, knowing this does not weaken us. It makes our presence here all the more precious. To reflect on time's fragility is not to despair, but to rest more fully in the present. Every moment we live is part of the bubble, glimmering and then gone, but while it lasts, it is infinite to us. To walk, to breathe, to notice light and sound and touch is to live inside the shimmer of time's bubble, fragile but radiant. We cannot step outside it, we cannot stop its breath, but we can inhabit it with awareness, letting each moment be luminous before it fades. Time may be fragile, but within its fragility lies all beauty, all meaning, all love. It is the bubble that holds us, and though it may burst one day, while it lasts, it is enough. The bubble of time holds us from birth to death, and as we near the end of this reflection, it is worth pausing to feel how fragile and luminous this vessel truly is. Time is not only a measure of events, but the very fabric that makes experience possible. Without it, there would be no before and after, no memory or anticipation, no growth or change. And yet, though time feels eternal, it is as delicate as a soap film, stretched thin across the expanse of existence, shimmering with the light of countless lives. To recognize this is not to fear, but to wonder, for fragility is what makes time beautiful. Every life is a bubble within the greater bubble of time. Each of us carries our own moments, our own shimmering surface of memories, expanding as we grow, thinning as we age, finally merging back into the greater sea of existence. Just as the universe itself began in a fragile instant, so too do our lives begin with a single breath, expanding outward into years of experience. And just as the universe may someday fade, so too do our lives conclude, fragile and finite. Yet in both cases, the fragility is not tragedy but grace. A bubble that lasts forever is no longer a bubble. It is the delicacy of its boundaries that gives it meaning, the way it captures light while it lasts, the way it reflects a world larger than itself. Physics suggests that time itself may not be fundamental but emergent, a property that arises from deeper laws we do not yet understand. Some scientists imagine that time may one day dissolve, replaced by a more primal order where cause and effect lose their meaning. Others suggest that time may flow differently in other universes, or that past, present, and future exist all at once, with our perception of flow as a fragile illusion. Whatever the truth, what we know is that time as we experience it is fragile indeed, dependent on the structure of space-time, the expansion of the cosmos, the limits of our perception. It is a bubble within bubbles, shimmering but thin. The fragility of time also gives rise to love. We love because we know moments cannot last. We hold hands, speak words, gaze at sunsets, and cherish them because we feel their impermanence. If time were infinite for us, if moments could be repeated without end, there would be no urgency, no meaning. The bubble of time reminds us to live, to act, to love while we can. It gives depth to memory, weight to choices, poignancy to farewells. To exist within time's fragility is to live with tenderness, to feel the value of each fleeting second, to recognize that life is precious precisely because it will not return again. On the cosmic scale, the bubble of time will continue to stretch, carrying galaxies farther away, dimming the night sky until only our local stars remain. Billions of years from now, time for distant civilizations may feel lonelier. Their sky is emptied by the breath of expansion. Yet even then, the bubble will still shimmer with life, thought, and wonder. And even when the last stars fade, when black holes dissolve, when time itself thins into silence, the memory of its fragility will endure in the story of existence. For fragility is not weakness, but the mark of beauty, the shimmer that makes everything luminous while it lasts. To stand in the present moment is to feel the bubble of time around you, Each breath, each heartbeat, each thought is part of its surface, delicate and unique. You cannot hold it, but you can notice it, and in noticing, you can love it. The future may remain unknown, the past unchangeable, but the present is a shimmering film, radiant with light, fragile but enough. To live is to accept this fragility, to find peace in it, to know that the bubble of time is not eternal but still infinitely precious, and when it bursts, as all bubbles must, it will have carried you, held you, and let you shine within its glow. That is enough. That is everything.